At the beginning of the movie, we see an eerie abandoned house. A strange woman named Olga steps out of a room, holding a rabbit toy, which she uses to find her way. She holds it up, and whenever the rabbit beats its drum, she moves in that direction. Following it, she eventually reaches the basement. After going down the stairs, she lifts the rabbit toy again, and it begins to drum in the direction of a cardboard wall. When she touches the wall, the rabbit continues drumming. She then makes a hole in the wall with a tool. As she peers through it, her face twists in horror, and the scene cuts abruptly.
Comment. Subscribe to Recapss Horror.
We are then introduced to Barrett, who meets a man named Isaac. Isaac had an accident in the past and suffers from memory loss. Barrett offers him a few days of work, explaining that his brother Ed died last year and left behind a daughter Olga. He explains that Olga keeps going back to the house where Ed died. Since the place is isolated, he doesn't want her to be alone there. He asks Isaac to keep her company, saying he wants to send someone he knows and offers him good money for about 5 days of work. Isaac asks how Ed died, and Barrett says it was suicide. When Isaac inquires about Olga's mother, Barrett explains she vanished 8 months ago. Pressed on why he won't care for her himself, Barrett admits he can't handle her for long, mentioning her psychological issues, but insisting she's harmless. Isaac becomes suspicious, sensing the task isn't as simple as it sounds. The scene cuts to their arrival at the destination. Shocked, Isaac asks Barrett why he didn't mention earlier that his brother's house is on an island. Isaac admits he can't swim, but Barrett manages to reassure him. They take a boat across and reach the house. Inside, Barrett uses an intercom to inform Olga of their arrival. He then tells Isaac that Olga is a little paranoid. She dislikes people getting too close to her and doesn't allow anyone in her room, especially at night. Isaac agrees to respect her space. Barrett then brings a jacket with a chain attached. When Isaac asks about it, Barrett explains that Olga's grandmother was a sleepwalker and used to wear the jacket at night to prevent her from wandering into the woods. He wants Isaac to wear it too, assuring him that the chain is long enough to move around the house, but will restrict him from entering certain rooms, including Olga's. Isaac refuses outright, but Barrett insists. Still, Isaac declines. Barrett then takes him to Olga's room, where she is sitting on the floor by her bed with her hands over her eyes. Barrett explains it's a form of schizophrenia triggered when she gets excited, likely from looking forward to seeing him. He demonstrates by clapping in front of her, and Olga shows no reaction. Barrett says he doesn't want to leave her alone, but also can't leave her with Isaac unless he agrees to wear the jacket. Reluctantly, Isaac gives in to Barrett. Barrett secures the jacket with a lock and places the key near a phone in Olga's room before leaving. Isaac then begins exploring the house. He follows the chain to the basement door, but doesn't go in, then steps back out and notices an air vent on the floor, before finding a bathroom. Thinking of using it, he realizes the chain is too short, so he goes to the backyard instead, where he discovers a chained dog. He brings food from inside and feeds it. Later, while looking at a photograph of himself with another man, the dog suddenly stares at him. At that moment, the lights inside go out, and someone yanks on Isaac's chain. Startled, he goes inside, switches on the lights, and hears a scream through the intercom that cuts off abruptly. He goes to Olga's room, but the chain stops him. When he opens the door, she is still sitting in the same position. He hears strange noises from inside, ignores them, then hears them again. He then goes to his room. Isaac looks once more at the photograph before slipping it into his pocket. His eyes then fall on a painting hanging opposite him, and he drifts off to sleep. Suddenly, the painting falls, and he notices it's a painting of a woman with strange expression. Disturbed, he props it back up, facing the wall, and lies down. But when he looks again, it's upright. He flips the painting again, sits up, and then lies back facing it. As he drifts off, the painting falls. Picking it up, he sees the woman's eyes wide open and hears a whisper urging him to come closer. He leans in to listen, then realizes it was just a nightmare. The painting remains on the floor, turned toward the wall. Isaac steps out of his room, feeling cold, and notices the basement door open. He peers down the stairs, then shuts it, finding the rabbit toy and setting it aside. Suddenly, he hears screams and Olga appears, telling him it's the fox. Isaac notices she's carrying a crossbow and asks about it. She explains that her father and uncle used to take her hunting, then asks what he's doing there. Isaac says he can't sleep and plans to light a fire. She warns him he can't. The chimney is blocked. Isaac mentions that Barrett told him her mother was missing. Olga confirms this, then asks if he's close to his uncle. Isaac replies that Barrett said they were friends, but he doesn't remember. He asks if she's close to Barrett, and she says he's the only family she has left. When Isaac asks if her father and uncle were close, Olga shows him a hunting photo of the two together. Isaac says, Barrett told him her father killed himself. Olga replies that it happened in the basement. He shot himself in the head. She explains that her father suffered from severe claustrophobia. She recalls one night when her mother thought it would be funny to put him in the harness. When he woke, he begged her for the key, but she refused to give it to him. He tried to snatch it, but she swallowed it instead. She even wore that key around her neck like a medal. She was mad, Olga says. Her father eventually went down into the basement, but when he came back up, the door was locked. Unable to escape and overcome by his claustrophobia, he shot himself. After telling the story, Olga leaves. Later that night, unable to sleep, Isaac steps out and notices the basement door open. He peers down from the top of the stairs, then shuts it and sits on a chair, drifting off. Suddenly, the rabbit toy begins to beat its drum, startling him awake. He calls out, "Hello?" The rabbit drums again. He looks behind, but finds no one. As he relaxes, the rabbit continues drumming for a long time. Behind him, the basement door slowly opens and feels like someone is approaching Isaac. The drumming stops, and when Isaac turns, he sees the basement door open. He calls out, asking if someone is there, and the rabbit beats its drum again. Grabbing the rabbit and a rod for protection, he cautiously goes down into the basement and finds the other end of the chain. As he turns to go back upstairs, faint noises draw his attention to the hole Olga made earlier. When he first peers through the hole, he sees only darkness. Finding a torch, he shines it inside and recoils in horror at the sight of Olga's mother's corpse. He then looks again and notices her body is pierced with crossbow bolts. Convinced that Olga must have killed her mother, he bursts into her room, only to find her in the middle of a fit. Using a socket to reach the phone, Isaac calls Barrett, telling him he's found Olga's mother's body in the basement and begs to be taken out. Barrett asks if Olga knows, or if he's told the police or anyone else. When Isaac says no and urges him to call the police since he doesn't know the address, Barrett coldly replies, he'll handle it, and abruptly hangs up. Isaac takes the keys from Olga's door and locks her inside. The scene cuts to him in the basement, when suddenly Olga's voice comes through the intercom. She says she's trapped in her room. Isaac tells her he called her uncle, and that Barrett is on his way. When he mentions finding her mother, Olga is shocked and asks, "And you told him?" She insists she didn't kill her mother, claiming instead that her father and Barrett did. She warns Isaac that now Barrett knows he discovered the body, and asks if he really thinks Barrett will let him leave alive. Alarmed, Isaac rushes back to Olga's room and through the transom, orders her to keep her crossbow near door. She complies, and he unlocks the door, quickly taking the weapon. He demands to know if it's true that Barrett and her father killed her mother. Olga says yes. She didn't witness it, but after finding the body, she asked Barrett, who told her it was her father's idea, though he helped. When Isaac asks why she never told anyone, she explains she didn't want her father remembered as a man who murdered his wife and hid her body in a wall. Isaac urges her to leave before Barrett arrives and insists she call the police. Instead, Olga goes into the washroom and returns wearing a red jacket. Shocked, Isaac recognizes it as his brother Mike's. Olga claims Isaac left it there during his visit. Isaac protests that he's never been there, but Olga insists he was, about a year ago, and reveals that Barrett sent him. Confused, Isaac asks why. Olga reminds him of the story she told. Her father shot himself in the basement, but only after being locked inside. Isaac says she told him he was afraid of small spaces and the door locked behind him. But Olga replies, "No, you locked the door." Isaac is stunned. Olga explains that Barrett said he couldn't go through with it himself, so he paid you to do it. "You lured Dad down there," she says, And when he was inside, you locked the door and left him. Isaac calls it a lie, but Olga insists Barrett told her that Isaac doesn't remember. Isaac argues he would never forget killing someone. He says Barrett claimed she had psychological problems and insists he never hurt her father, nor had he ever been in the house before. To prove it, he urges her to call Barrett. Olga dials and puts the call on speaker. Isaac tells Barrett that Olga believes he killed her father, saying he locked him in the basement, and that he told her this. Barrett calmly replies, "Yes, that's what you did. I shouldn't have asked." Shocked, Isaac insists it isn't true, but Barrett asks Olga to turn off the speaker. After a pause, she ends the call. Isaac pleads again, insisting it never happened, and begs Olga to call the police so they can prove it. She refuses. He warns her that if something happens to him here, the police will come anyway. She asks, "Does anyone even know you're here?" He rushes into the basement, desperately trying to break the chain. But when that fails, he goes for the lock's key. Olga suddenly grabs his hand and twists his finger brutally, forcing him to retreat in pain. Stumbling outside, he sits down, fixing his injured finger. There, he finds a newspaper on Olga's mother's disappearance and notices the jacket key hanging from her neck. He rushes to the basement, shines the light on Olga's mother's corpse, and, trembling, manages to get the key to unlock the jacket, freeing himself. Suddenly, the light cuts out.
You're still watching? Good. Like, comment, and subscribe to Recapss Horror.
And a woman's sobs echo in the dark. Terrified, he flees upstairs, wandering through the house until he slips outside into the freezing cold. With no escape and foxes howling around him, he returns inside. Suddenly, he spots Olga sits in the dark mid-fit, hands over her eyes, nose bleeding. Isaac takes her crossbow, puts the jacket with chain onto her, and locks it. Grabbing a winter cap against the chill, he notices that Olga had broken out of her room through the transom. Entering her room, he finds the phone wires cut, pockets the jacket key, and spots the red jacket in the bathroom. A flashback shows him wearing the same jacket, asking Barrett if he has to sneak into his brother's house, lock him in the basement, and leave. "Then what?" Barrett replies. He's claustrophobic. The stress will kill him once he realizes he's trapped. "He knows too much about me. I can't trust him." Barrett promises good money, and Isaac agrees. Back in the present, Isaac, shivering, dozes in the jacket until nausea forces him into the bathroom. Meanwhile, Olga reclaims her crossbow. When Isaac opens the door, she fires, missing him. She reloads, but he slams the door shut, checking himself for wounds. Later, checking if Olga has left, he steps out of the washroom, but quickly shuts the room's door. An arrow suddenly shoots through the socket, piercing his leg. Collapsing in pain, he crawls back in the washroom and slams the door shut. Gasping for breath, a flashback reveals him, arriving at the house by boat wearing same red jacket. He enters the house but finds no one inside. Speaking into the intercom, he asks if anyone is there, but receives no response. He takes off his jacket and hangs it in the kitchen. On the table lies a newspaper about Olga's missing mother. Isaac writes something on a paper, but hears a man laughing. It's revealed that he has written, "Mo Barrett wants you dead." Following the sound, Isaac discovers the basement door locked. He unlocks it, goes inside, and finds a crossbow. Taking a torch, he ventures deeper and is shocked to find Olga's father alive but badly injured. Terrified, Isaac rushes back outside. Later, he is seen drinking alone in his room, haunted by visions of Olga's father. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. It's Barrett. Isaac asks where he has been for the past 2 days. Barrett explains he was arranging his brother's funeral and dealing with his unstable daughter, who refuses to believe her father committed suicide. Isaac asks, "So he was already dead when you got there?" Barrett confirms. When Isaac presses, "What happened after I called you?" Barrett says he found his brother dead in the basement tunnel and told the police it was suicide. Isaac then asks, "Who locked the door?" Barrett seems confused. Isaac tells him the door was locked when he arrived. Was it him who locked it? Barrett denies it, saying, "Why would I lock him in and then ask you to deal with it?" He pays Isaac, but Isaac insists he didn't do anything. The door was already locked when he got there. Barrett then shows him the note Isaac had written and asks if he had gone there to warn him. Isaac nods. Barrett questions him. Why? You don't even know him. What if the police had seen this? He tells Isaac to take the money and disappear, that he doesn't want to see him again. Barrett then asks, Are you going to tell anyone what I asked you to do? Isaac replies, What's there to tell? What kind of man wants his own brother dead? Barrett suggests that Isaac is still in shock from seeing Ed in that condition. He tells Isaac to rest until morning and takes the money with him. Later that night, Isaac is seen drinking on the balcony, heavily intoxicated. Quietly, Barrett sneaks up behind him, and it appears he pushes Isaac off the balcony. The scene cuts to the present. Isaac is lying in the washroom, his memory now restored. He grabs a plier and tries to pull the arrow from his leg, screaming in pain as he cuts it out. Determined to flee, he steps out but finds the door locked. He returns to the bed, puts on the red jacket, then heads back to the washroom. Suddenly, a small hidden door opens in the wall, revealing what looks like a crawl space or basement access. As Isaac tries to crawl through, he suddenly sees Olga's mother's ghost staring at him before vanishing. Terrified, he moves deeper and reaches the spot where Olga's mother's corpse lies. Panicking, he begins cutting through the wall to escape. When he glances back, the corpse's head direction has changed. Horrified, he covers her face with his cap and continues cutting, but soon notices the cap has a hole, and the corpse is now staring at him. Suddenly, Rabbit Toy begins beating its drum, and Isaac spots Olga is entering the basement. He hides as she reaches into the corpse and pulls out 2 arrows. Just then, Barrett arrives, asking why the power is off and why she's wearing the chain jacket. Olga claims Isaac forced her into it and took her mother's key, adding that he's locked in her room while she came to reload. Barrett berates her, saying her mother was right. Olga is an idiot. She snaps back, blaming him for everything. He warns her to watch her tone. When Barrett peers into the hole, he spots Isaac. Just then, Olga shoots an arrow into Barrett and silently leaves, locking the basement door behind her. Wounded, Barrett calls out to Isaac, saying Olga went upstairs looking for him. Come out. We'll surprise her when she gets back. Isaac keeps cutting the wall, while Barrett readies a wooden log to kill him once he emerges. Suddenly, the intercom crackles. Isaac's voice says he's already out and will send someone to help. Barrett freezes, realizing if Isaac is outside, then who is cutting the wall? The wall bursts open, revealing Olga's mother's ghost. Barrett screams in terror. We then see the truth. Isaac had actually escaped through the air vent he discovered earlier while exploring the house. Outside, Olga notices him leaving with the dog. They lock eyes, and the movie ends. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.